Have you ever learned about something and then forgot all about it? Well, that pretty much sums up my high school and college years all in one sentence. So about 10 or 15 years ago, I first heard the name Caracal come across my radar. They made some unique looking pistols, and I'd heard they were being imported from Egypt or Turkestan or something. The pistols were cool, but at that time I was raising a family and I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. And as I recall, these pistols were priced a little high for my humble budget. You guys remember dear old Danny from the Tauflader Mouse channel? He's easily the most loved and respected shooter that ever appeared in an episode on that channel.
I like that.
Well, sometime after Danny passed, I had the chance to meet his son, Danny Jr., while filming a segment for the show. Danny Jr. was a guest shooter on Tauflader Mouse, but he was only there for the day since he lived in a distant land the Indians called Idaho. I remember Danny Jr. telling me about a friend of his that worked as the shop lead for Caracal. Yeah, the same Caracal that made the weird desert pistols all those years ago. He knew I was moving up to Idaho, and he promised to put us together for some shooting one day. Well, fast forward to SHOT Show 2025, and what do I see across the acres and acres of gun manufacturers' booths? But the Caracal booth. Now, knowing that they were from Idaho, I dragged my camera guy over there, and before I could even introduce myself, a rep from their shop, Matt, recognized us. So we exchanged swag, and by that I mean I gave him my Danger Show patch, and he gave me a business card. But we exchanged phone numbers, and we set up a shooting meetup at the Parma Rod and Gun Club with Danny Jr. once we got back to Idaho. The day I showed up to the range, I was shocked to see how much stuff Matt had brought with him. There were a couple of rifles that were so top secret that I couldn't even film them or talk about them. But among the things he had for us to shoot that day on camera were the CAR-816 and CAR-814 rifles, a piston-driven rifle and a direct impingement rifle made by, you guessed it, Caracal. And even more surprising, they are being made right here in Idaho. And if I'm not mistaken, that's in the good old US of A. He also brought out a sweet little subgun called the CMP-9 that happened to be the only full send copy in the United States. For YouTube reasons, we'll refer to it as full send instead of that other term they don't like. The CMP-9 is currently in use by police and military units in the UAE, where they make them. But Matt told me they would soon be selling that CMP-9 in a semi-automatic version here in the US. I was shocked to learn that Caracal USA, the Idaho-based subsidiary of Caracal, makes the CAR-816 and the CAR-814 right here in the US. We shot the crap out of both of these guns on the range that day. One thing about shooting with gun company reps, they usually bring lots of ammo, and Matt was no different. He brought so many magazines and boxes of ammo that 4 of us literally could not shoot it all up. And here's a fun fact. When Caracal USA makes a new rifle or redesigns an existing rifle, Matt brings the prototype to the range and runs 16,000 rounds through it before it's considered reliable enough to start manufacturing. That's right, 16,000 rounds. Holy crap. That's a lot of freedom seeds. And no wonder the rest of us are having trouble finding ammo in our local stores. Matt's using it all up, testing new guns for Caracal.
Here's what's even funnier. Look at all this brass out here in the snow.
While we were out there, Danny Jr. took some time to sight in the optic on his home defense shotgun, while the rest of us slogged away, burning up magazine after magazine of 5.56 and 9mm ammo. Boo-hoo. I've been through some full send courses in my time as a law enforcement range master, and let me tell you, if you've never buzzed a full magazine out of a 9mm subgun at the rate of fire that God intended, you're missing something. The CMP-9 was an amazing gun to shoot. I was able to send short bursts downrange with some decent accuracy, And even my big old giant sausage fingers was able to control that trigger and get some nice 3-round bursts out. But flipping the fun switch was where the damn thing really shines. I was spraying rounds downrange like a character on the A-Team. And like the A-Team, I probably never hit anything down there. But it sure is fun to shoot up someone else's ammo. I got some decent range time on Caracal's CAR-816 as well. It was designed to compete with H&K's fabled 416, but it's going to cost you less than a compact car. We shoved magazine after magazine through this thing, and I remembered quickly that full send fire from a rifle makes you really want a nice pair of gloves. I even melted the camera mount that I had attached to the fore end of the rifle. That's how fast we were shooting this thing. Now, piston guns are known for running a little cooler than direct impingement guns because the hot gases are kept out front and not blown back into your face by a long gas tube. Well, 5.56 ammo is hot, and when you shoot a lot of it through a rifle in a very short amount of time, that heat's got to go somewhere, and into my left hand it went. Most of us won't have this problem with our guns, since we probably don't own full send guns, and most of us couldn't afford to feed them thousands and thousands of rounds in one sitting like we did with this gun. I learned that even piston guns get hot, at least out front. When we wrapped up the range day, Matt invited me to visit the Caracal shop in Nampa, Idaho. So one day, when I was in town to buy dog food and some other things we don't have on Danger Mountain, I stopped by and got a quick view of the production line at Caracal USA. Now here's where I saw racks and racks of their enhanced F pistol. Now, I'm not sure what the regular F does, but the enhanced F pistol is pretty dang cool, if not a little different looking. I'd never shot a Caracal pistol, and I still haven't. We didn't have one at the range, and despite repeated requests, Matt wouldn't let me shoot one in the shop. It turns out the city of Nampa frowns upon desk pops in an industrial complex. Caracal USA now makes all these pistols right here, domestically. Caracal in the UAE makes their own precision rifles called the CSR 308 and the CSR 338. I'll let you guess what calibers those rifles shoot. They sure look like nice rifles, but just like their pistols, I didn't have a chance to shoot one of these things in the shop. And here's something else I didn't know. A hashtag symbol is technically called an octothorpe. No, really, I was shocked to learn that Caracal USA makes rifles for large numbers of U.S. law enforcement agencies. While I was visiting the shop, a huge number of rifles was being shipped out to an agency in the Midwest. It's true, because I saw the shipping label. Now, personally, I don't think I've ever run across a Caracal rifle in the wild, on duty or off, so I was pleasantly surprised at this little fact. Octothorpe surprised. As a parting gift from Caracal USA's factory, Matt loaned me one of their piston upper receivers, the CAR-416, in a 11.5-inch barrel configuration. He wanted me to try this thing out in a more semi-auto type setting, since I'd be using my lower receiver and, worse yet, my ammo supply. Now, because the barrel was 11.5 inches long, I had to find an AR pistol lower receiver to use it on, lest I violate the great and powerful NFA Act and attach it to a rifle lower. I went ahead and bought a dedicated AR pistol lower from Palmetto State Armory. It's all I could get my hands on in this short amount of time. And let's be real, most of the sexy stuff happens in a rifle's upper receiver anyway. Well, it didn't matter much. The PSA lower still hasn't arrived on Danger Mountain, so I just broke apart my SIG M400 pistol and used that lower receiver to test out the Caracal 416 upper. I know, I'm almost as confused as you guys are. Let's just say I had a short little pistol that was 50% Caracal, and that's almost half. I took the little Franken pistol to a sunny mountainside near Danger Mountain, and I ran it through its paces. Shooting it semi-auto, I was able to get a much better feel for how soft this thing shoots. Again, I had no experience with piston gas system, but this thing was noticeably easier in the recoil department than a DI gun. Not that 5.56 recoil is really all that harsh, One thing semi-auto fire did show me was that piston guns, when shot at this more reasonable rate of fire, run much cooler and are much easier to clean than your traditional AR-15s. Am I going to switch out all my direct gas impingement guns to piston guns? No. I'm perfectly happy with my rifles. They're like a good woman. They get hot when you push them, and sometimes they're a little dirty. The gun was accurate, though. I was able to make rifle-sized groups from an unsupported seated position at a little over 50 yards. And carrying the dang thing up and down steep hillsides was quite a bit easier. For the testing, I mounted my Aimpoint Micro Red Dot, which is a favorite of mine for the perfect combination of speed and accuracy. The upper and the SIG lower ran 100% reliably. I didn't even have one malfunction. I used polymer P mags and regular aluminum mags with no issues. I even ran about 90 rounds out of this awesome Chick-fil-A magazine I recently ordered. Every time the bolt locked open on an empty chamber, I could hear the little rifle politely saying, "My pleasure." The piston system on the 816 is user adjustable right here in front of the gun with this 3-position gas valve, and can be done right there in the field with no special tools. And man, was this little gun fun to shoot. Maybe not a whole lot different from any old AR pistol, but fun nonetheless. If you don't have a piston upper receiver for your AR pistol or rifle, check out Caracal USA's lineup. They'll sell you the upper or the complete rifle, and they've got them in 11.5 inches like this one, but also in a 16-inch configuration for those of you who want a really good gas piston rifle upper. You can get these things for less money, but you get what you pay for these days, and I personally will no longer skimp on a piece of equipment that one day might save my life. I've had too many things fall apart on me when I'm testing them out in the field. Oh, and before I forget, watch for those cool CMP-9 subguns to hit the US market soon. Yours probably won't have that full send feature, but it's one of the best subguns I've ever shot, and I think they're going to smoke some of the other 9mm subgun companies with this little bastard. Hey, a big thanks out to Danny Jr. for coming over and shooting with us, and a super big thanks to Matt and the rest of the Caracal boys for letting me shoot their guns, and more importantly, tons of their ammo. I had a blast and I learned a thing or two. Now, if I could only remember stuff longer than this afternoon, I'd be all set. Hey, you guys stay safe out there. Stay armed whenever and wherever you can, whether that's with a pistol, a rifle, or even a subgun. And until next video, OG out.